Right now, police in several Midwestern cities, including Sun Prairie and Milwaukee, are investigating shootings this morning after a violent weekend across the area.
And it's a waiting game for the Senate as the impeachment trial is still up in the air. We'll tell you what one of Wisconsin's senators is saying about the delay.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's Monday, December 23rd. I'm Keely Arthur, in with two of my really good friends. I'm so happy.
Little party on our Monday, huh?
We're having a great time on a Monday. Mother Nature is giving us a gift of mild weather as well. Folks, I think that is going to continue to be amazing for us as we go through some time. Thank you, Leah, for the microphone help there. All right, so here is what's shaping up for us. Three things to know weather-wise. We're going to have great weather in terms of your travel. We'll be staying very mild for Christmas as well, but we could see some weekend travel trouble as we go through time. Now, if you've been looking for a white Christmas, this year, unfortunately, not the year. But as we've gone through the past 10 years, we have seen 8 out of the past 10 years produce some sort of snow around here for Christmas. This year, I think, is going to be another one of those green years. 37 is our temperature right now, so we did drop another degree, as I expected us to do so. And those winds are now starting to pick up as well. Again, out of the southwest is expected still very light at 3 miles per hour. But folks, the southwesterly wind is going to help those temperatures really take off as we head through today. In fact, by the afternoon, I think we're going to be seeing those highs right around 49, close to 50 again. Now, yesterday, our high ended up being 53.
Wow.
With enough sunshine, you can end up on the warmer side of this, but I think the cloud cover is going to move in this afternoon. And that might keep us from truly making it well into the 50s, but we'll be very close.
Yes, I love it. I mean, you guys know I love to walk, and so
Yes.
I spend so much time outside. I think everyone's really treating themselves to outdoor.
Honestly, the look on your face right now is like I said, we were going to the beach. Like, you were so excited.
53 in December in Wisconsin, might as well be the beach.
It is a treat.
right.
I do
You
recognize
kind of
it.
sad about it, though.
It's okay.
I'd like some snow.
I'm still going to be happy about it, because when it does snow, I'm still going to be hyped.
I'm just the Grinch over here.
We've got this, Leah.
We've got it. Rain or shine, we can do it.
Yes.
Thanks,
true.
Chris.
My pleasure.
To our top headline this morning, breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center. A man is recovering after he was shot in the stomach last night. It happened on the northbound wayside of Interstate 41 in Dodge County. Deputies say a 22-year-old man from Kaukauna and a 28-year-old man from Fond du Lac were fighting when the 28-year-old was shot. He's in a Neenah hospital this morning, but he is expected to recover.
Also, into the Channel 3000 Alert Center overnight, Madison police are investigating an armed robbery at a McDonald's on Verona Road. It happened just before 9 last night. Police say a customer there was beaten with a handgun and had his backpack stolen. 2 suspects got away with that backpack. The person who was beaten was later treated at the hospital for their injuries, and police are still investigating.
Sun Prairie police are working to find out who shot at a house on Sunday afternoon. Officers say it happened on Wild Iris Street, not far from Rayner Road, around 12:30. There are bullet holes in a house on that street, but luckily no one was hurt. Police tell us this does seem to be a targeted incident. They're asking you to call the department's non-emergency line if you have any information.
A man is facing charges after leaving the scene of a shooting that injured 13 people early Sunday morning in Chicago. 37-year-old Marciano White, a convicted felon, is charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. Police say they saw him leave the scene with a bag across his body and arrested him. White is scheduled to appear in bond court today, and his role in this shooting is still being determined. Family members say the shooting happened at a memorial for a man who was shot and killed earlier in the year. Police say shots were fired at 3 locations, one from inside the house, one from outside, and one from a car driving by. Officers believe there were at least 2 different shooters. They don't think this is gang-related.
For more breaking news overnight, we now know the identity of the 19-year-old who was shot and killed in a restaurant parking lot in Minnesota Sunday. 19-year-old Cha Yang of St. Paul was killed. 6 others are injured after that shooting in Spring Lake Park. That's about 30 minutes north of the Twin Cities. It happened around midnight. Neighbors there heard the gunshots.
I was confused because I thought it was like fireworks because it was like pow, 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 pow. And then it was like 5 seconds and then pow, 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 pow. And then like 30 seconds and like pow, 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 pow.
The other victims are between 19 and 38 years old. Luckily, none of their injuries are life-threatening. Our affiliate in Minneapolis reports there are no suspects in custody this morning. Detectives are hoping to see recordings of the shooting that bystanders might have taken.
Back in Wisconsin, 2 people are dead and 3 others are hurt after 3 shootings and a stabbing in Milwaukee. The first happened at around 10 Saturday night. Milwaukee police say a 34-year-old man was shot and killed outside his apartment on Farewell Avenue. Just 20 minutes later, Milwaukee police say 2 women were stabbed about a mile away near Kilbourne Reservoir Park. Both had surgery and are expected to survive. Milwaukee police are investigating a second fatal shooting after a body was found at around 11 a.m. yesterday near 8th and Greenfield. Milwaukee police are still looking for any suspects involved in these incidents.
The man accused of shooting and killing an 18-year-old in Madison is due back in court today for his initial appearance. 20-year-old Marcus Hamilton is accused in the shooting death of Gunnar Holm from Dodgeville. That shooting happened on Spruce Street, just off of Fish Hatchery Road, last Saturday. Police say the shooting was related to a drug deal. Hamilton is being held on $1 million bond.
Breaking overseas this morning, Saudi Arabia is sentencing 5 people to death for the murder of U.S. journalist Jamal Khashoggi. State TV there says 3 others were also sentenced to prison. Khashoggi was killed at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey last year and was a harsh critic of the Saudi regime. The kingdom's crown prince drew international criticism for the killing because several people suspected had worked directly with him. The crown prince has denied any involvement.
A man is facing charges after police found a marijuana growing operation inside his house. Monona police were originally trying to find a missing child, taking them to a home on La Belle Lane near Monona Drive early Sunday morning. Police arrested a 54-year-old man there for maintaining a drug dwelling. He could face more charges as well. Madison officers found the missing child elsewhere. And we are following new information this morning. The Associated Press reports one of President Trump's top re-election advisors told influential Republicans here in Wisconsin that the party has traditionally relied on voter suppression to compete in battleground states. Justin Clark's comments were made in November as part of a wide-ranging discussion about strategies in the 2020 campaign. Those comments were recorded. Clark tells the AP he was talking about Republicans being falsely accused of voter suppression, but says the party does plan on aggressive poll watching in the election. That includes focusing voter verification efforts in rural areas and mid-sized cities in the state. He says President Trump supports that strategy, saying he often asks about voter fraud, adding, quote, he will do whatever it takes to make sure the efforts are successful.
The fight over the articles of impeachment against President Trump is now entering its 2nd week. The House approved the articles last Wednesday, but Speaker Nancy Pelosi still has not sent them to the Senate. CBS's Mark Liverman has more from New York.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's holding on to the articles of impeachment until more is known about how the Senate will conduct its trial. Democrats say in particular they want to know if new witnesses will be called.
Until we hear from the witnesses, until we get the documents, the American people will correctly assume that those blocking their testimony were aiding and abetting a cover-up.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer pointed to a just-released email from the White House to the Defense Department. It asked the Pentagon to, quote, please hold off on military aid to Ukraine. The email was sent shortly after Mr. Trump asked Ukraine's president to investigate Joe Biden.
The case is pretty thin that the House is sending over us, if they ever send it over to us. Pretty thin gruel from my standpoint.
Senate Republicans characterized the delay as unnecessary and unhelpful.
I actually think this is a mistake for the Speaker to continue to dwell on this issue. I don't think it's worked out that well for them politically.
On Sunday, a White House aide said that while President Trump is open to allowing new testimony, the administration is eager to get the trial over with. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Now, one Senate Democrat, Alabama's Doug Jones, says he's waiting to hear the impeachment evidence before he decides how he'll vote.
To the state capitol now. As we approach the end of the year, no final actions are being made on a package of bills aimed at reducing homelessness and increasing housing stability around Wisconsin. The state Senate has yet to act on a package of 8 bills and might not get time to anytime soon. The Cap Times reports Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald is doubtful about whether it could pass his chamber, saying Republicans are still concerned about it costing $7 million, along with the lack of Senate GOP involvement in the process. Governor Evers called a special session to address the funding, but only 4 Democrats showed up.
Speaking of the homeless, a group of volunteers is asking for your help in doing something good for the homeless population living in the shadow of the state capitol on State Street. Coming up, we'll tell you how you can help those people during the holiday season.
And Chris Reese is in for Hattie this morning. He says it won't be the warmest Christmas ever, but it's going to get close. He has the latest holiday forecast up next on News 3 Now this morning.
For reliable weather day in and day out, watch First Alert Weather. This
Well, good Monday morning, folks. We are waking up to what's going to be another mild and quiet day throughout parts of the upper Midwest. High pressure stays in control. We're going to keep those winds out of the south and west today, which means, folks, we are going to be staying on a very warm note. There is one area of low pressure over the upper Midwest. That means those clouds will be on the increase, but at least we are certainly staying warm. One of the reasons that we're going to be staying dry despite our winds out of the southwest is this storm system that you see across the southeastern part of the country. Now, one of the things that I think is very cool is you can actually see the influence of that high pressure. So watch that rain as it tries to inch up through parts of Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky, and then it kind of backs off. That's the drier air keeping that moisture from working our direction. but that does mean heavy rain is expected for the southeastern coastline. That's going to continue as they go through today. But as for us, we are certainly going to be staying dry here in south central Wisconsin. I think the only thing high-resolution Doppler will need to track is some added cloud cover. Temperature-wise, you see the difference between a snowpack and a non-snowpack. We're a little bit colder, below freezing throughout northern and central Wisconsin, but for us, we are already into the upper 30s, knocking on the door of 40. Madison is at 37 degrees right now. Those winds are out of the south and west at about 3 miles per hour. I think that southwest wind increases to about 5 to 10 miles per hour as we go throughout the day. We'll be at 39 by 8:30. By the time we get you towards this afternoon, check out those temperatures at 49. Some areas might push 50, but I think if we have more cloud cover moving in a little bit faster, it's just going to be a little bit too hard to do so. Overnight tonight, we see that cloud cover, but pay attention to what happens. A warm front begins to lift towards the north. We see even more of a southerly and southeasterly wind. That keeps those 40s around as we head into your Tuesday. But I do think we're going to see more cloud cover for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. One of the other things I'm watching for Christmas Day is a weak system that may bring some drizzle our direction, but I still think most areas are going to be dry, just on the cloudy side. The next appreciable chance for any kind of rain or snow that comes our direction this weekend. Still, several models disagree with the true placement and track of this storm system, so there are a lot of questions to answer, but all modes of precipitation are on the table in terms of rain, sleet, freezing rain, and snow. It's all something that we're going to be watching for as we go through the next coming days, so just make sure that you're watching us every day as we keep you aware of this forecast. For the morning, we're going to warm up from 37 to 45 by lunchtime. Look for those temperatures topping out right around 49 as we head into this afternoon. I do again think the cloud cover will certainly be on the increase. We'll keep the clouds around all the way through the weekend with perhaps more sunshine early next week, but check those temperatures. They're still coming back down into the low 30s for highs, but even that is above normal. Your normal high at this time of the year is 28 degrees, and well, honestly, we are well above that throughout all 10 days of this forecast. Now let's take it over to Stacy K with your first alert traffic. Stacy?
Hi, good morning. The roads are a little bit wet, so be careful on the ramps and bridges. Less volume is expected today as a lot of people are on vacation, and so far nothing to slow you down in either direction on the Beltline. Other roads in Dane County looking good, just some of the usual brake lights at Stoughton approaching the Beltline, John Nolan as well. Schools on break, no worries near campus. Other main routes heading into Madison, moving along, no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacy K.
Thank you, Stacy and Chris. New this morning, while we're seeing some near record-breaking warm temperatures, the overnight lows can still be very cold if you have nowhere to go.
That's why groups like the Friends of the State Street Family have teams out every evening checking on people who have no option but to spend the night sleeping outside. They're always looking for volunteers to help, but this time of year they say their biggest need is help making sandwiches, which can actually help start the conversation on where those people can go for additional help.
To be able to bring out sack meals is just such a great way to start a conversation with someone, to say, hey, are you hungry? And then we can move forward to, well, where are you staying tonight? Do you have enough gear?
Another way you can help, getting gift cards to downtown businesses and restaurants. That way, people have a chance to get out of the cold and have a meal or a cup of coffee as a paying customer. If you'd like to help or you have things you'd like to donate, you can call the Friends of the State Street Family's outreach number. That's right there on your screen. We'll also put that up on channel3000.com. And you can also find them on Facebook and just send them a message.
After recent anti-Semitic hate crimes around the country, this year's Hanukkah is especially momentous for some. Recent shootings in Pittsburgh, California, and New Jersey are giving people an even bigger reason to celebrate their heritage.
Hanukkah is the triumph, and therefore we're not going to hide and so on. But especially what makes it different today than it's really been for much of Jewish history is that today we have the government behind us.
Members of the Jewish community in Madison went to Hildale to celebrate, but even those who are not Jewish, like Dane County Executive Joe Parisi, went to the menorah lighting as allies. The celebration of Hanukkah will last every night until the 30th.
The holidays are supposed to be the happiest time of the year, but for people navigating grief, it can be the hardest time. My family knows that all too well.
1, 2, 3, see you.
24-year-old brother, Levi, in a car crash 2 months ago. While our hearts are breaking, we know we are not alone. There are lots of us who struggle to stay merry this holiday season as we work through loss in our lives.
The first thing is just to acknowledge it. Acknowledge the loss. Don't try to sweep it under the rug.
If you or someone you love is grieving a loss, maybe it's a divorce or the death of a loved one, we want to help. I'm sharing a conversation with Dr. Mergain and with my brother. That's tonight on News 3 Now at 10.
Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back.
Welcome. .622 on your Monday. We're taking a look at a bit of a warmer start to our holiday week.
That is certainly true. You can really tell the difference between where there's a snowpack and where there's not a snowpack across, not Kentucky, but Wisconsin, just by looking at the temperatures. It does feel like Kentucky. I'm back in my old Kentucky home mentally earlier on this morning. But pay attention towards the northern and central parts of the state. Temperatures are below freezing. Black River Falls at 16, Watoma at 23, 31 in Camp Douglas and La Crosse. That is where there is some snow on the ground. Now further towards the south and east, that's just a different story. So in Madison, we're in the upper 30s. Janesville at 36 right now, Waukesha at 36, even Monroe coming in at 35. Madison is at 37 right now. Those temperatures stay steady as we head out the door for a couple of hours. Once the sun begins to rise, we'll see those temperatures begin to warm. We'll be at 45 by 1 o'clock. 3 o'clock, temperatures should be right around 47. I think we'll top out right around 49 as we head into today. But expect sunshine as we go through the next couple of hours before the clouds start to increase headed into this afternoon. Leah.
All right, thank you. Very much, Chris. So the Packers are getting ready for an important matchup against the Minnesota Vikings tonight, but that doesn't mean they can't have a little fun.
It's traditional for leaders on a team to buy other players a gift at the end of the season to show their appreciation for their efforts. Usually it's something like a Rolex watch, but Preston Smith bought the entire Packers defense scooters instead. Za'Darius Smith posted the team's reaction on Instagram.
Guys having fun, riding around, acting like, big kids, even though we're a lot of grown men, guys. You saw the kids come out of guys today as they would enjoy riding the scooters around. And I just want to have, let them be happy, and I want to share a moment with them that I knew they would enjoy.
Good friends, Rolexes and scooters. Kickoff tonight between the Packers and Vikings is at 7:15. We'll have a recap from Minneapolis tomorrow morning.
I was expecting a Vespa from Keeley for Christmas, and I haven't gotten it yet.
Someday.
All right, 16 college football players across the country have elected to skip their respective bowl games in order to get ready for the NFL draft. But none of those are Badgers. Everybody is expected to suit up when Wisconsin faces Oregon in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Linebacker Chris Orr says it has a lot to do with the culture at Wisconsin.
I think it says a lot about their character, first and foremost. Second, I think it says a lot that they love football, and collectively as a program as well, we love football here. And when you love football, you don't just skip out on your last game with your team. Not saying people don't. I definitely understand the decision. Wouldn't be mad at somebody if they did, but we truly love each other, and nobody wants to leave anybody behind.
Badger pride right there. Our team is headed out to Pasadena later this week. The sports department and Eric Franke will have coverage every day leading up to the game. How fun.
So fun. I know Franke's going to be excited to get a little sun.
He could use some sun.
He could use some sun.
Wisconsin
Pack your sunblock, Franke. He has coloring like you and I.
Oh, poor guy.
Still ahead, we've got the top 3 things you need to know this morning before you head out the door.
And if you still don't have your holiday shopping done, or you're looking for your last few stocking stuffers, or you want to send Keely and I some gifts, we'll help you out with some ideas.
Send them our way.
Yeah, we have some local business thoughts. That's just ahead on News 3 Now this morning.
It's
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for staying with us on this Monday, December 23rd. I'm Leah Lynchine.
And I'm Keely Arthur. We're going to get a check on your weather with Chris in just a second, but first, here are the top 3 things you need to know as you start your day. A man is recovering after being shot in the stomach last night. It happened off the northbound wayside of Interstate 41 in Dodge County at around 7:30. A 28-year-old man was taken to a hospital in Neenah to be treated and is expected to recover. The Dodge County Sheriff's Office says they won't be giving us any more information until after the new year.
The second story we're following this morning. The House of Representatives still hasn't sent the Senate the articles of impeachment against President Trump. Lawmakers approved them last Wednesday, mostly along party lines. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she will send the articles to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell once she knows how the Senate will conduct its trial.
And holiday travel is proving to be a bit of a challenge in some parts of the country. That includes a 69-car pileup in Virginia yesterday. Authorities are blaming that on fog and ice. 51 people were taken to the hospital in those crashes, and problems were not just limited to the roads. A plane from New Jersey to Colorado had to be taken out of service after a really rough landing.
Luckily, travel looking a lot smoother in southern Wisconsin. Chris is here now with weather and traffic. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys, that is exactly right. We are going to be very smooth in terms of travel as we go really through much of the country for the next couple of days. Mild weather does stick around in terms of Christmas, and then we could see some weekend travel troubles around here. Here are temperatures right now. We're starting out into the upper 30s throughout southern parts of the state. It's a bit cooler as you work your way towards central and northern Wisconsin. That is where the snow is on the ground for us in Madison. We're at 37 right now. Let's look ahead. We'll start to see those temperatures warm up. 39 as we move towards 8 o'clock, 41 at 10, 45 by lunch. The only difference is I think that cloud cover is going to start to sneak in just a little bit faster. By this afternoon, look for those temperatures topping out right around 49 degrees. Here's what happens to our weather pattern as we look ahead. Right now, we have this big ridge of warmth. You can see that with the jet stream rising above and over Wisconsin, but that changes in time. Colder air starts to develop throughout the western part of the country. That moves our direction, and then you have a jet stream towards our south. That oftentimes allows for storm systems to track just towards the south of Wisconsin. That, folks, could lead to a storm system as we get you towards this weekend. We're going to be talking the details on that in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Over in Europe this morning, for the first time in 200 years, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris says it won't be holding Christmas services. The cathedral was severely damaged by a fire back in April. Midnight Mass will instead be celebrated at a nearby church with the Notre Dame priests.
For those of you who took care of the rest of your shopping over the weekend, a new record is all thanks to you. Experts estimate Americans spent more than $34 billion on Saturday and Sunday alone. That's $2.5 billion more than Black Friday shopping. The National Retail Federation predicts the average American will spend just over $1,000 this holiday season. It's the most money since they started keeping track. But if you're still struggling to find some gifts in time for Christmas, we got you covered with some great ideas from shops around Madison. Thanks to our friends at Madison Magazine, you can stop by the Old Fashioned to eat some cheese curds and snag an old-fashioned supper club glass for the old-fashioned loving Wisconsinite on your list. You could also grab some pretty plants from Wildwood on Johnson Street, or a jump around onesie from the bookstore just in time for the Rose Bowl. And even some wall decor from Mingled Goods or personal care items. Tons of amazing gifts.
Love it. There is also some nostalgic gift options that are making a comeback. For the first time since 1986, vinyl records are expected to outsell CDs. That's according to the Recording Industry Association of America. Vinyl's rising popularity is a trend disc owner Angie Roloff has taken note of. She says over the last decade or so, her Monroe Street store's vinyl section has only grown.
You'd asked most of us in this business 15 years ago if we'd be talking about this now. Most of us would have said no. But yes, I mean, I think things come full circle, and I think people enjoy having tactile experiences.
While a report from this year suggests record sales are on the rise, as CD sales stay stagnant, streaming services still take up the majority of sales in the music industry.
And millions of people are finding comfort and joy watching Christmas movies on networks and streaming services. Last year, 85 million people watched a Hallmark Christmas movie. This year, the network released a record 40 movies with more options from Lifetime and Netflix. And the Christmas craze doesn't just stop with movies. Hallmark and Lifetime offer merchandise like holiday movie pajamas, wine totes, and blankets. There's also a podcast and a movie checklist app for Hallmark fans. Hallmark fans too.
From Hallmark to musicals, maybe they're more your style. The Broadway hit Hamilton is now the biggest show in the Overture Center's 15-year history. That's according to the Wisconsin State Journal. The show sold more than 53,000 tickets and grossed $7.5 million in revenue over its 24-show run. That is $2.5 million more than the center's previous biggest show, a 2016 run of The Lion King.
I know you went to that and you enjoyed it, right?
I love Hamilton. It's so popular for a reason. It was incredible. You're not a huge musical fan?
I am not a huge musical fan. I'm still holding out. Maybe I'll go with you or something, but yeah.
I can convince you.
Okay. Well, coming up in the morning sprint, we're following multiple breaking news stories, including the latest on a string of violence across the Midwest.
But first, it's the most wonderful time of the year for the bakery business. We'll show you how area bakers are handling the holiday rush. Thanks for starting your Monday with us here on News 3 Now this morning. All right, because it's going to be so balmy this weekend, we found this photo by Heather out of Rock County that I think has got the springy pinks in it.
It does. It's so beautiful. And yeah, it kind of does look like one of those gorgeous summer sunsets, but we'll take it this time of year.
Very appropriate for this week. Thanks for sharing, Heather. What does your morning look like? Send us your pictures if you have them. Hashtag MyNews3Morning. All right, more local news now. Our police officers aren't just getting into the holiday spirit. They're also spreading love and inclusivity. The Madison Police Department shared photos on Facebook showing off its pride-themed rainbow Christmas tree. It's sitting inside their station, all decked out in ornaments. The post said, "Happy Holidays from MPD Pride."
And there is no better way to get in the holiday spirit this weekend than by being out in the sun golfing. I don't know if Leah and I would agree with that. Nope. Several local courses were open this weekend because of the mild temperatures at the Oaks Golf Course in Cottage Grove. Nearly 100 golfers joined in on the Ugly Sweater Golf Scramble yesterday. Organizers say it was their first year doing the event, and there were prizes for most jolly out of the links, and which golfers say were a little more difficult than usual to compete on.
The greens are much firmer today than they would be in the middle of summer, so you're going to want to play a little differently. To say that you're going to get some bounce is an understatement. I've seen some balls probably fly 30 feet in the air after hitting the greens.
And they planned on doing, we're just cracking about golf. They planned on doing the competition around Halloween, but were snowed out. So when they saw the forecast for the weekend, they decided to give it another shot. Totally worked out with Christmas. Who would have thought?
I'm sorry, but Christmas is the time I get out of golf because it's snowing.
It's snowing.
I don't play.
Leah, that could have been you in a cute sweater yesterday.
Never, never, never. All right, local bakeries are working hard to fill orders before the holiday this week. This is more my style. You can find me at Batch Bakehouse. They had a busy flow of customers all weekend, picking up orders and treats. The bakery created a special holiday menu this year featuring traditional items like Black Forest cake. Manager JC Haas says the weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas are the craziest time of the year.
Obviously it's stressful because it's just like we do it every year and we know it's coming and it kind of is, you know, it's something hanging over our head, but when it actually happens and we pull it off every year, like, it's exciting. It's good teamwork.
Batch Bakehouse will be open today and on Christmas Eve. They're not accepting new orders, but they will have their normal selection of baked goods for you to choose from.
Well, with temperatures this warm, maybe we should be digging out the holiday shorts and t-shirts, Leah, instead of our holiday sweaters. Chris Reese is used to these mild holiday seasons, though he is in next to give us the latest on our holiday travel forecast and tell us when the temperatures will start to drop.
But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can share their picture on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
Look
Welcome back, 6:44 on your Monday. A beautiful sunrise out in my neck of the woods. This is out of Platteville.
I know that makes you happy. We need a little sky cam from Schaumburg, Illinois.
You do? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Or from Houston.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, Chris, what is the weather looking like?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's looking very mild for good portions of the country. It's going to be mild for us as we go through the next couple of days as well. That means we are looking at great weather for anyone who's going to be hitting the road for travel. That goes all the way through Christmas. By the time we get you towards the weekend, though, it's possible that things could become more stormy for us. Now, here is our holiday travel forecast as we go through the next couple of days. No delays are expected really throughout the upper Midwest between now, and this will take us all the way towards Christmas morning. The one area we could see delays, the Rocky Mountains. That's where we could see perhaps some feet of snow in the highest elevations. In the meantime, though, high pressure does remain in control for us, sending the winds out of the south. That means we're going to be staying warm. We do have one area of low pressure towards our north and west. That's going to be adding more cloud cover to our skies as we go throughout the day. I want to focus on the south and east, though. This is where heavy rain is coming down, but you can see the influence of high pressure just towards the north. Watch this rain as it initially tries to creep northward into parts of Kentucky and Virginia, but then that drier air comes in that keeps that rain at bay. Still, though, very heavy rain and coastal flooding is expected throughout parts of the Carolinas. 8 to 10 inches of rain will likely be expected as we go just through today for them. As for us, we are certainly going to be staying on the dry side. High-resolution Doppler continues to give us a very clean sweep throughout southern Wisconsin, and I think this will be the case really throughout the rest of this week. Temperature-wise, we are starting out mild. Where the snowpack is throughout northern and central Wisconsin, temperatures are below freezing. As for us, we are well above 34 in Janesville right now, Monroe at 35. Madison, we are waking up with the temperature of 37. Those winds coming out of the south and west at about 3 miles per hour. Let's put this into motion and take you hour by hour throughout your day. We're stopping the clock at 8:30. Watch how those temperatures warm up towards 39 by earlier on this morning. Here we are by the afternoon. Those temperatures are going to be 10 degrees warmer at 49 for those highs today. We'll see some clouds increase overnight. Then I want you to pay attention to this. Notice these winds coming out of the east. You typically have easterly winds ahead of a warm front. They'll then turn more southeasterly and southerly as we head into your Christmas Eve. We'll see those highs into the upper 40s once again for tomorrow. The reason for that, we have what's known as a ridge in control. This is a rise in the jet stream. This is keeping that warmer air around, but things change towards the middle of the week. Colder air starts to develop throughout the western part of the country. This pushes the storm track further towards the south along with the jet stream as some colder air starts to move in to our part of the world. That is a recipe that can often lead to storm systems throughout our parts of the country, and that is very much what we are watching for. So let's start this at Christmas Eve. We'll keep the cloud cover around. We might see some drizzle on Christmas Day, but for the most part, things are going to be dry. Then we get into the last weekend of 2019. That's when it's possible that a storm system comes our direction, and that storm system could have genuinely everything on the table. We're talking anything from rain to snow to sleet or even freezing rain. So we're going to be watching this storm system and its track very closely as we go through the coming days, because that could pose travel impacts as everyone begins to head home from their travels for the Christmas holiday. In the meantime, enjoy this weather, folks. Plenty of cloud cover will be on the way starting this afternoon, but we'll keep those temperatures into the 40s before we go back into the 30s towards the end of the next 10 days. But even still, our average high is around 28. Ooh. So we're well above average. Even when we cool down, we are still keeping those temperatures above average. Your face, I know, your face right now is adorable, but so is this picture. Lenni in Madison, how about that? If you're walking your cat this afternoon, which always impresses me that people can do, look for temperatures in the upper 40s.
Oh, Lenni, what a Christmas gift.
That is such a Christmas gift. My pleasure, of course.
Well, stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back at 6:51. Time for the morning sprint for your holiday week. To get started, here is everything you need to know.
We are tracking multiple stories that are breaking over the weekend. Let's start in Dodge County. That's where a man is recovering after he was shot in the stomach last night. It happened on the northbound wayside of Interstate 41 in Dodge County. Deputies say a 22-year-old man from Kaukauna and a 28-year-old man from Fond du Lac were fighting when the 28-year-old was shot. He's in a Neenah hospital this morning, but he is expected to recover.
Also into the Channel 3000 Alert Center overnight, Madison. Police are investigating an armed robbery at a McDonald's on Verona Road. It happened just before 9 last night. Police say a customer there was beaten with a handgun and had his backpack stolen. 2 suspects got away with the backpack. The person who was beaten was later treated at a hospital for their injuries. Police are still investigating.
Sun Prairie police are working to find out who shot at a house on Sunday afternoon. Officers say it happened on Wild Iris Street, not far from Rayner Road, around 12:30. There are bullet holes in a house on that street this morning, but luckily no one was hurt. Police tell us this appears to be a targeted incident. They're asking anyone who knows something to contact the department's non-emergency line.
A man is facing charges after leaving the scene of a shooting that injured 13 people early Sunday morning in Chicago. 37-year-old Marciano White, a convicted felon, is charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. Police say they saw him leave the scene with a bag across his body and arrested him. White is scheduled to appear in bond court today, and his role in this shooting is still being determined.
To Minneapolis now. Breaking overnight, we now know the identity of the 19-year-old who was shot and killed in a restaurant parking lot in Minnesota Sunday morning. 19-year-old Chai Yang of St. Paul was killed. 6 others were injured after that shooting in the Spring Lake Park, about 30 minutes north of the Twin Cities. Our affiliate in Minneapolis reports there are no suspects in custody this morning. Detectives are hoping to see recordings of the shooting that bystanders might have taken.
Back here in Wisconsin, 2 people are dead and 3 others are hurt after 3 shootings and a stabbing in Milwaukee. The first happened at around 10 Saturday night on Farewell Avenue. Just 20 minutes later, Milwaukee police say 2 women were stabbed about a mile away. Both had surgery and are expected to survive. Milwaukee police are also investigating a second fatal shooting after a body was found at around 11 a.m. yesterday near 8th and Greenfield. Milwaukee police are still looking for suspects for all of these incidents.
We're getting a clean sweep on high-resolution Doppler this morning. Good morning to Waunakee, Cross Plains, and Fitchburg. All of you guys are going to be seeing some sunshine, at least early on. That's going to be the case really throughout all of south central Wisconsin, though I do think we're going to start to see more cloud cover on the way. We're waking up with very warm temperatures where there's no snow on the ground. In Madison, our current temperature is at 37. But as we look ahead throughout the morning, those 40s come in quickly. By lunchtime, we'll see those temperatures around 45 degrees, and we'll top out around 49 for your afternoon highs.
Thank you very much, Chris. Over in Europe, for the first time in 200 years, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris says it won't be holding Christmas services. The cathedral was severely damaged by a fire back in April. Midnight Mass will instead be celebrated at a nearby church with Notre Dame priests.
Australia is still trying to contain the devastating brush fires that are ripping through South Wales. According to the reporters in Australia, more than 800 properties have been destroyed around the continent this fire season, and more than 8 million acres have been burned. The average is usually around 690,000 acres during a fire season.
The House of Representatives still hasn't sent the Senate the articles of impeachment against President Trump. Lawmakers approved them last Wednesday, mostly along party lines. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she will send the articles to the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell once she knows how the Senate will conduct its trial.
And advisors for President Trump's re-election campaign say they plan to aggressively watch polls during the 2020 election to keep an eye out for potential voter fraud. That could mean tougher voter verification practices in battleground states like Wisconsin. That advisor says President Trump supports that strategy, saying he often asks about voter fraud, saying, quote, he will do whatever it takes to make sure the efforts are successful.
Breaking overseas this morning, Saudi Arabia is sentencing 5 people to death for the murder of U.S. journalist Jamal Khashoggi. State TV says 3 others were also sentenced to prison. Khashoggi was killed at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey last year and was a harsh critic of the Saudi regime. The kingdom's crown prince has denied any involvement in Khashoggi's death.
And now let's turn it over to Stacey K with a look at your first alert traffic.
Hi, good morning. The roads are a little wet this morning, so be careful on the ramps and bridges. Less volume is expected today as a lot of people are on vacation, and so far there is nothing to slow you down in either direction on the Beltline. Just a few brake lights on inbound John Nolan at the Rimrock and Nolan Avenue intersections. Other main routes heading into Madison moving along with no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacey K.
And we are going to stay warm with high pressure and control of our weather pattern going through the next couple of days. The only thing we're watching is a storm system this weekend.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Have a great holidays, folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow.